Greetings everyone, and welcome back to my laboratory. Let me know what you think about that tagline. I'm trying out new intros, trying to spice up my content a little bit, spruce it up a little bit, make it more intriguing for people to watch. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you think about that. So welcome back. I am here with another video in my new series that I'm calling GAC Prep, where I go through how I scout my opponents and plan my GAC attacks and defenses, and hopefully give you a little bit of inspiration for your own GAC round. As always, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, give me a like. I hate saying that, it feels so weird, fake, but that's, you know, how YouTube decides what videos it wants to show more people. So, like, comment, subscribe, etc., all that fun stuff. I'm going to try and go a little bit faster this time. If you want to see more in-depth kind of rambling about GAC and my strategy, I had two videos from last week, one which was kind of a general overview of my GAC strategy and the series, and one which was a longer form video about my planning for week one. But this one I'm going to try and go a little bit faster, not as much explanation. So, as always, feel free to ask questions in the comments. And I'm happy to help anytime. So, we are in week 2 of the 5v5 season. Week 2 is a lot easier to scout for and a lot easier to plan than week 1 because we have so much more data on our opponents, on general counters, and there's been so much this season that has changed that there's a lot of new stuff to learn, and a lot of good information we got since the end of week 1. So, my first opponent is named Kanan. They're a visionary. They're in the Cantina Lords. They are 15.4 million GP, which is right around where my opponents were last week. They are spenders. They are a spender. They're spending. They have. Where is he at? I know he's around here somewhere. They have a. Oh, there he is, way up at the top. 7-star R9 Maul. So lots of R9s. So again, okay, so we're talking about my strategy, right? What do? First thing I do, look at my opponent's roster in game. But I think it's easier if they're looking at .gg. First thing I do, again, this will depend. I'm not going to go into much in depth on how I would do it differently for lower brackets. If you're interested in seeing a video on how I would do this kind of scouting outside of Kyber or outside of Kyber 1, let me know in the comments, and I can make that video sometime. But for me, I want to look at relic levels. I want to look at how many R10s they have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 R10s. Interestingly, 3 non-GL R10s, and none of them are Darth Revan, which is a common one. R9 Darth Revan only. Ben, Captain Drogon, and Ezra as R10, which is really interesting and a little terrifying. I also like to flip the roster upside down. Everything at R5. That's terrifying. I say this every time because I really don't think I should win any of these matchups. Somehow I went 2-1 last week, and so I've been thrust into this higher bracket, and I really don't have a lot of faith in myself for this one. So I don't really look at ships because I assume they have everything. Datacrons, of course, I want to look at. I want to look at the green. They got a lot. They got everything, of course. Actually, not everything. They didn't get everything. The blue, who cares? They have a bunch, and the orange ones, they have only three of the focus Datacrons, which I faced 7 last week, so 3 is not terrible. Of course, they have the 2 most important ones, and they don't have that many from the regular Datacrons from the new set. They have 1 DTMG one. They have a Bad Batch one, which could be interesting, but not even a good Bad Batch one. So. Not a lot. Oh, is this a good Bad Batch one? Nope, that's also not a good Bad Batch one. Okay, so not a lot in the new Datacrons. So that gives me some signs of hope. Okay, so that's the roster in game. Now we're going to swap over to .gg, which is where I do most of my research. And we're going to go to the GAC bracket. And we're going to find my opponent. They are Kanan. As you can see, once again, as always, I am way outgunned. They have 444, I believe, is the max number of Zetas in the game. Since I've had a lot of opponents with that number, I think that's it. They of course have more Zetas than me. Everyone has more. Ooh, there's a guy who almost has as few Zetas as I do. Oh, look, he's actually smaller than me. Ooh, there's someone smaller than me in my thing this time. Ooh, he only has HELs. Wow, this guy this guy scares me. These people scare me. They scare me a lot. As you can see, lots more relics. He has 6 R10s. I've got 2. He's got 66 R9s. I've got 17. A lot more stuff than me. Okay, so I don't really look at anything down here. Again, because I assume they have everything, and I assume that everything is better than mine. So I'm going to go right to his profile. I do like to take a look at his guild. Right, he's in a big guild. 700 million is a big guild. Almost everyone has almost everything. Where is he in the guild? He is the 4th largest account in his guild. He's an officer. That's always an interesting fact to know. I don't really know if it makes a difference, but it's interesting. And he is not the top GAC player, but he is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th highest in his guild. So, interestingly, all the people above him actually have smaller GPs than him. So, that's just kind of an interesting thing to know. They do pretty well in TW. 75% all time in TW. They've fought some pretty big guilds. I recognize some of these guilds that they fought. 501st Unleashed, not like Gauntlet guilds, but like kind of right below the Gauntlet. If you don't know what Gauntlet is, then don't worry about it. Let's take a look at his GAC history. He went 2-1 last week. So again, it's a lot easier now that we're in week 2. We can go right in here and look at what he put on defense last week. So, now, if again, this is a difference. Kyber 1, sometimes people will change their defenses. Outside of Kyber 1, honestly, 90% of the players I face in this game do not change their defenses from week to week. So, if you are able to go in and find a time where your opponent was full cleared by their previous opponent, you can pretty much plan the whole attack. Barring any drops, you can more or less know what you're going to do. So, I already took the liberty of writing this down today, but I'm going to go through it with you all again, real quick. So, he puts, looks like last week on his front bottom, that's the first one I want to look at. Does this click? No. Glat with Watt and a support cron, which is interesting. Turn meter support cron. Support cron, but no Ezra. There's a Hera. I think Hera's Hera's support. And Watt's support, which is interesting. So I don't know. I think. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna try not to use insights. Because I know not everybody has that. But I'm gonna use insights here. Oops, not Fulcrum. Watt. And these 3. And I only want to look at Kyber 1 and 2. And I want to look at the support cron, because I don't know if I faced the support cron without Ezra. Leia kills it. Let's look at, you know where I'm looking. You know what I'm looking for. Where is he? Oh, no one's done this. No one's done Trench. Okay. I guess that's not surprising. There's only 162 times that this has been done. But Trench is done 7 times. And with this comp, and won almost every time. Lost twice with tank crons. Let's see, any of these me? There's me. That's me. The Huyang cron. Yeah, Huyang cron's a lot easier. Support cron, I don't know. Let me just take a quick peek. How fast is his Hera? Although Watt is a support. But Watt goes first, right? So Watt puts the support shit out there. There's a support cron. For the turn, dispels all buffs. But it's the first turn anyway, right? So there's no buffs to dispel, really. And Watt's hopefully not going to take another turn. So let's see. How fast is his Hera? His Hera is 321, which is not slow, but not fast enough to outrun my Dooku. So I think I'll be fine. R10, Ahsoka does make me a little nervous, but I think I'm still going to trench that. So let's see what else he puts on the front zone. So on the front zone, he has Glat, he has LV, he has Finzori with the Poe Fearcron, and he has Stranger with Barriss and Visas, and an R9 Spider Maul. So, so my plan, here's my plan. Let's look at the other zones. Then let's look at the top zone. The top zone, he has Boba with Jabba. He has Saw. He has EP with Darth Vader Duels End with the full Focus Datacron team. And let's see, where's the rest? And then Rey. Okay. In the back zone, he has Jedi Master Mace with a support cron, and Pirate King Hondo with SM33, and what else? And DTMG was his other back zone team. So will he change that? I don't know. I don't think so. But you never know, you know. So we're gonna assume that he's not. And we'll plan for the worst, right? We'll try and have enough teams that we can beat everything. So here's my plan. So like I said, I already looked this up. And I'll walk through a couple of the teams with you on video, just so you can kind of see how I kind of did this thought process. Glad, like I said, trench is always my go-to. I live and die by the trench, so if trench doesn't work, then there's other options. I can lay it or something. Although Leia's kind of busy, but I think I can move things around if I needed to. Again, you want to make sure when you plan this out, right, you have 11 teams in 3v3 in Kyber, you have 11 teams you need to kill, right? You do not want to have just 11 teams on offense, right? You want to have a couple backup teams in case something fails, right? Because you certainly can be in the situation where you put a really strong defense down and suddenly you don't have enough teams to clear. One thing failed and it kind of leads to this cascade of failures, and like, okay, I was going to use X team on Glat, but I used X team on Glat, it failed, and I was going to use Y team on Lord Vader, but now I need to use that for Glat, so now I need to use a different counter for Lord Vader, and then boom, 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 and suddenly you get stuck on something stupid like Jedi Master Mace, which is not that Jedi Master Mace is stupid, but there's only so many teams that counter him, and if you run out of counters for Jedi Master Mace, suddenly, oops, you lose. And you end up looking like an idiot, not being able to full clear because you can't beat Jedi Master Mace. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure you have a few extra teams, just in case. So here's the plan. I'm going to use Trench here. I'm going to use Bane on Lord Vader. Just Bane. I don't need C. Only R9 on Lord Vader. So with a support cron, not even an attacker cron. Which actually probably makes it a little bit harder, but I think Bane will be fine. Finn. So here's what I do. I'm gonna use just the regular free version of this to show you how I think about this. We're gonna do Poe, this, and this. We're gonna go to scene, and we're gonna see what works here. So Malgus actually is only a 60% counter. If you take out some of these other characters here, and you just leave Zori, I mean, everyone has Finn, right? That didn't really dip the total number of battles very much. If you have, even if you have Poe, right? Even if you have Poe, which I assume you're only bringing Poe if you have the Focus Datacron. Again, we're the free version, you can't see the Datacrons. Malgus is 93%. You add Rose, and it goes down to 60%. So let's add Rose, right? So Malgus, now not a great option. Okay, so what is a great option? Well, Karth is a great option, but I know, because I'm smart, that requires the Zalbar Omicron. I don't have the Zalbar Omicron. So what else? Night Sisters, I'm putting Marin on defense, as you'll see. I'm going to leave that team on defense. So JMK, I have another plan for JMK. So Queen Amidala definitely has another home. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use JML here. JML has a 91% win rate. And maybe even has some options for undersizing, which would be really great. Although, if you watched my video from last week, you know that did not work out so well for me. So JML is going to go there for the Finn team, and then Stranger, let's take a look at Let's close that tab. Let's open a new tab for Stranger. Let's take a look with this team. It's the full focus Datacron team. You can see that there's not a lot of good counters, right? Lord Vader is a 72% counter, but that failed me twice last week. It did not work. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do Queen Amidala, and you can see, again, you want to go to scene here, because if you go to win, what does it show you? It shows these things that had 5 battles, 2 battles. You don't want to look at that. You want to look at scene, and you want to find things that have good win rates here. You can see that with Echo and Shakti, only about 49%. But if you put Gas in the lineup, suddenly the win percentages go up a lot. And if you have Gas and Cam, it's an 84% win rate. Now, my Cam is only R5, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use Cam. But Shakti is a 72% win rate. Echo is not as good. You can see Cam was only used 13 times, right? But it won 84% of the time. And that's like, what, 11 out of 13 is what, 84%. So that means it only lost twice, right? Beck, Keller and Beck is actually pretty good, 68%. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna use as the 5th there, but I'm gonna try that. So I'm pulling Gas, as you'll see when I go in my defense in a second. I'm pulling Gas off defense, and he's gonna go in this Queen Amidala team, and I'm gonna hope that that is gonna beat this Stranger team. That's gonna be my play this time. And really, I think for most people this season, the Stranger is your make or break team. If you're in the point where you're facing people who have, and you have yourself, Hatefield Mall and the Stranger, that team is going to be, with the Focus Datacron, is going to be kind of the team that makes or breaks your whole GAC. Okay, so on the top, he has this Boba Jabba team. I'm going to do the same thing this guy did. This worked well for me last season, using Bo-Katan with a Healer Cron. You can see here, again, I'll just show you real quick. I did all this in Insights, and in Insights, of course, you can pick your Datacron and everything. Obviously, everyone who's using Boba League with Jabba is using the Focus Datacron, right? So C beats it, C Bane, I don't really want to do that. Lord Vader, I'm not going to use there. I don't have Glat. Strangers on defense. SLKR can beat it, but Bo actually is a Sabine. That's interesting. Sabine was done 10 times. You do want to look at the number of times it was done, right? Again, that's why we go flip to scene, and you can see it's a 61% win rate. But if you, and this is where having Insights is really nice. And I got my guild leader to pay for it, so shout out Roy Rat for paying for our guild's Insights. I was paying for myself, but he was like, I'm just gonna do it. So if you go in here and you look at, what was I looking at, Boba with Jabba, and we put, make sure we put the Zamomicron on, and you can see it's a 61%. If you add the, well, let's make sure we have the Datacron, the Boba Fett Datacron. If you add the attacking Datacron is a Healer Cron, you can see it goes up actually to a 78%, right? Which is pretty good. That's decent. I think it really helps to have them clocked, right? My bow is like 1 speed slower than my BAM. Not that that always matters, because BAM sometimes gets its bonus turns, but yeah, so I think I can do that. I'm going to do that. Saw, I'm going to use Balin. I'm going to use the exact same thing that this guy used, except I'll use a support cron. And for this EP team, I'm actually going to use JMK. That worked really well for me in week 1. I'm scared of this Moz team. If I feel like, I might try it. We'll see if he attacks first. We'll talk about the timing in a minute. But if he attacks first and he does some drops, maybe I'll try some more sciencey things, and maybe I'll try Moz here. But otherwise, I'm going to use Lord JMK without Snips. No Snips. Snips is going to ride the bench. That worked out really well for me in week 1, so that's what I'm going to do there. And then the last team on the top is Rey. And Rey, I'm planning on just using Leia. I think Leia is an R10 Ezra. And there is actually not a lot of health on this cron, which is interesting. It's a damage cron. Armor, that's really not a great cron for Rey. Because she doesn't really give a shit about armor pen. But I'm hoping I can just one-shot Ezra there with Leia. Leia versus this Rey comp. So let's see. Ezra, Ben. What is it? Ezra, Ben, Cal and Sortie. Where's Cal? Sortie. And search for Cal. Cal Kestis. You can see, again, looking by scene, Leia is an 86% win rate, irrespective of Datacrons, with Adrad and Jin. You can see also Seer does pretty well, but if you have Starkiller, right? So if you in Insights you can exclude people, you can't do that here. But if we're saying you and I don't have Cal, but I might use there's not really a Ninth Sister. You can see it's kind of sketchy if you have like Fulcrum. Cal obviously makes it better. Visas doesn't really matter. Starkiller didn't work there. That's interesting. So you want to make sure you're testing the right teams, right? Because it might look good, right? Like this. Looks good, right? Oh, look, 100%. And then you realize Starkiller, and Starkiller is not with Seer anymore, at least not for me. So I'm going to use Leia there. Yeah. The back zone, we've got Mace, Jedi Master Mace, and Pirate King Hondo. Pirate King Hondo, I think I'm going to use Seer here. That's been working pretty well for me. Pretty much the same comp. I think I'm going to swap out JTR because my Fulcrum is only R5. That worked pretty well for me. The SME comp is actually a little bit harder. So if you can see here, we use the three, call them the three stooges, the three bad guy pirates, three dark side pirates, and we look at this with this, and this, and let's put Fulcrum in here because that's what most people use. You can see the win rate. Oh, actually the win rate is higher with I thought I looked at the Insights, and actually the Hondo rate was higher, but it looks like the SME rate maybe is higher. About the same, I guess. Maybe it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, you could actually with Ninth Sister, actually the SME rate is lower than the Hondo win rate. So who knows? But I'm gonna try Seer there. I think my other option was SLKR. I might go with SLKR there. And then the last team there is DTMG, assuming that he still has DTMG. He does have a DTMG Cron. I don't know if that changes anything. Right now my plan is to use Gungans there. I think Gungans killed him pretty good. Because Gungans, if you look in here, with Death and this guy and and Enoch, Gungans have a 96% win rate, and that's pretty much a foolproof win, right? I could also use Malgus. Malgus, actually, I'm not using Malgus, so maybe I'll use Malgus there as another option. And then I think I said I think I'm gonna use SLKR here on Jedi Master Mace. I could use Trey. Actually, I think I decided I was planning on using Trey on defense, but I don't know. We'll see. It's an all R9 team, and my Trey team is only R5, so I'm not sure how comfortable I feel with that. But it's a support cron, which means they're not doing as much damage as they do with an attacker cron, so I might do that. Okay, so let's go back in game. So those are my offensive plans, right? So I make my offensive plans, and then I go in and look at my defense. Oh, the last thing I want to do in .gg is I want to look at when does he usually attack. So you can see here he attacks at 3 p.m., which is UTC, which is about, the round starts at 10 p.m. So this is about, what, 10 plus 5, so about 15 hours, no, 12 plus 5 is 17 hours in, so only about 7 hours to go. Which for me in California time is about 2 minus 5 is about 7 a.m. On the next day. But I like to look at round 1, right? Round 1 is, because again, days matter. So in round 1, he attacked at 2 a.m., which is actually only 4 hours in, right? So that's, the round starts at 2 p.m. for me, so about 6 p.m., which is good. That means that he would attack before I would, actually, because I usually do my attacks at night, California time. The next thing I like to do is I like to go back in other weeks, see round 1. See here he attacked round 1 at 3 p.m. Okay, which kind of seems like those are his 2 times. You can see here's a 6 p.m. Is he attacking second? He is attacking second here. Is he attacking second here? He's attacking second. So it's it looks like maybe he just wants to attack second. Yeah, he attacked first there. He attacked second there. So he might just be the kind of person who wants to wait and attack second. in which case I will wait. I'll go in at my normal time, which is about now, which is kind of nighttime. So yeah, his opponent attacked later, and then he, yeah, looks like he likes to attack second. Let's see, last. Oh, that's Zareth. He fought Zareth. Interesting. He beat Zareth. Oh shit. Although if I beat this guy, I could say I beat a guy who beat Zareth. That would be cool. So he attacked at 3 p.m. Zareth attacked about 4 a.m. Yeah, so it looks like he likes to attack second. So I might be out of luck on that one. Okay, so going back into game, looking at my defenses. So I did change up my defenses. Oh, I forgot to talk about ships. I'll talk about ships in a minute. So I changed up my defenses. I'm putting Lord Vader back on defense. He has failed me for the last time on offense. I expect he'll just get baned. But, you know, whatever. Bane. He wanted Bane for the back, I guess. I'm moving my Darth Vader Dual Zen team up to the front. It was in the back last week. I added one Omicron. I gave him the unique Omicron. Not that one. This one. Here it is. Unique Omicron. I did not give him this Omicron. There's an Omicron here that gives fracture. But the thing about this is it's only the fracture until his next turn, and with Focus Datacron, he's taking so many turns that the fracture is going to be gone right away. This Omicron makes it a lot more difficult if you're using a non-GL counter, right? If there are no Galactic Legends. So my hope is that that my opponent will see this and be like, oh, I should use a GL on this, and maybe either that or he tries to use a non-GL and struggles more. I don't know. We'll see. I did put Piet in here. I had Tarkin in here last week. I put Piet. It looked like some of the, if you look at some of the counters, you go back over here, sees 5v5, and you go to EP, and you look at Darth Vader Duel's End with Juhani and Royal Guard, and you see what's the difference between Piet. Let's take a look, for example, at Maz. It was one of the top counters people used last week. And was featured in a bunch of YouTube videos. Maz, you can see, has like a 61% win rate with kind of the typical team. Everyone kind of uses these guys, and then it's kind of either Hondo or Smee. So let's take a look with these guys, Kix and Quiggled. As you can see, it's about a 55-60% win rate. With Tarkin in there, it's an 88% win rate with Thrawn in there, but it drops to a 44% win rate with Piet in there. With Smee, and a 41% win rate with this lineup against Hondo comp. So that's just one example of Piet seeming to make it a more difficult defensive team. If you look at JMK is another common counter. JMK with obviously Kat and Padme. Different people use different tanks. There weren't that many instances of it, but the counter, even with Mace, let's say with Mace, right? Tarkin is a 78% win rate. OG Darth Vader is an 88% win rate. Piet drops down to a 64% win rate. So you lose about 15% win rate by adding Piet. So I figured I'd try Piet here, and he's at higher relics anyway, so maybe he'll survive longer. I do have Stranger again. I changed up my Stranger comp. I saw, again, I'm not going to go back and show you the .gg, you're just going to have to trust me. Visas and GK seems like a pretty good comp. I do want to keep my Barriss with Rey, because I think Rey, without Barriss, just dies to Leia. And I'm trying to keep Leia from doing that. I want to make that harder on people. So I want to keep Barriss. Barriss I think is really good with Stranger. But while that Barriss Crown is still active, I think I want to keep her with Rey. So I'm going to have Visas here, and I don't know if I'm tipping my hand, because if you can't tell, Rey's not in the front, actually. I don't know if this Barriss not being here is tipping my hand that my Rey is in the back. I did fight a guy last week who did not have Rey at all on defense. And GK Barriss was stopping some counters, or at least reducing, again, just like I showed you with the EP team. Piet kind of reduced those numbers. That's something you can look at. Again, if you have more time, it depends. If you don't have time for that, you don't have to necessarily go to that nitty-gritty level of detail. But if you do have time, it is interesting to look at some of the data, and you can see that actually it looked like GK held a little bit more than other things that aren't Barris, right? If you're looking at Jedi that are not Barris, right? What Jedi replacements to Barris are there? Is it Old Ben or Juhani or Mace or Ezra? GK seems like the best non-Barris option. And I traded out Hondo for Smee here. Again, looking at the data, it looked like this was a little bit better on defense. We'll see how that goes for me. So in the back, if you hadn't guessed yet, here's my Rey. I put Cal here because I took GK out, and I wanted someone to kind of help keep the team alive. Cal, again, looking at the .gg data, Cal makes the SLKR counter harder. And so I'm going to try that. I'm going to try this comp here. I've got Boba-led Jabba. I had the regular Jabba last week, but my opponent does not. Oh, my opponent doesn't put Jabba lead on defense. He puts Boba Jabba. Boba Jabba does not get countered by Boba, so I don't really need the Boba-Cron. I mean, I'm sure there's places I could use it. It's a fantastic Datacron, but I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this on defense this week, so we'll see how that goes. And Reva, I did add Barris. I added Barris in here. My opponent used what did he use? This is another thing I didn't really talk about, but something you can also do is look and see what did they use on offense. So you can see my opponent uses Seer on Hondo, and he likes to use SLKR on Stranger. So my thought was, this is how I planned this. I have Hondo and Stranger in the front, hoping he uses Seer on this Hondo, hoping he uses SLKR on the Stranger, and then he doesn't have a lot left for this Rey, right? Because Seer and SLKR are the best Rey counters with Barris, and if he uses SLKR and Seer up front, what is he going to use on that Rey? I don't know. Maybe he has Queen Amidala. Maybe he'll get lucky there. Queen Amidala certainly has a chance. You know, I don't know that this is going to work. Again, I'm facing an opponent who is so out of my league. I don't know if that'll stop. I don't think it'll stop him, but maybe it'll slow him down a little bit, is really the ultimate goal. Reva. What did I want to say about Reva? Last week, my opponents. So looking back at my history on my GAC, the people I faced last week who attacked my Reva, wouldn't be a Reva, son, the third sister. They used Seer, which is nothing really you can do to stop Seer. They used Bane, again, not really much you can do to stop Bane. And they used their own Reva. You know, if you have this guy and Barris and Ninth Sister, and you can see it does slow down Malgus and Treya a little bit. It doesn't really, nothing slows down Bane, right? You're not going to slow down Bane, and you're not going to slow down Seer, right? There's really nothing that's going to slow down Seer. This one has Starkiller on it, so if we look at this and this, and what did he use on? What did he use? Did he have to fight a third sister? No. No, he has a third sister. So maybe he'll want to use third sister. So if we want to take Reva, so you can see Reva with ninth. I'll take out ninth. The regular Reva team has lowest win rate. Let's just assume he's gonna have. He used. This is mine. He used Barris, but no ninth. So if he wants to use Barris, oh, no one did that. I have too many things in here. It's only done twice. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna put it there anyway. It stops some of the cheaper counters, right? It stops Phoenix. Up top is kind of a trash zone. It's kind of my throwaway team. I got Saw. I got Great Mothers. I'm putting GG on defense with the target lock Datacron. It stops Wampa, so I don't know. I don't really expect much from it. And Jedi Master Mace. And the last thing I've got here is my fleets. I looked at his fleet defense. He puts down, without fail, Leviathan, Home 1, and Executrix, which is a very challenging fleet defense. I don't know if I can get through it. So I took my Profundity off defense. I like to put Profundity off defense. I replaced Profundity with Negotiator. And this was the exact defense I put down last week against, nope, that's not me, against my first opponent, who put down almost the same fleet defense as this guy. My first opponent last week put down Leviathan, Home 1, and no, this is me attacking. My first opponent last week put down Leviathan, Home 1, and Chimera, and then I countered with Leviathan, Home 1, and Negotiator, and they really struggled on that defense, right? They could not clear mine. They took them 3 shots to get through my Leviathan, and then 2 shots to get through my Negotiator. So I'm going to try a similar gambit this time. It is going to be, I struggled to get through my opponent's Leviathan. This guy only has R9, not R10. I don't know if that'll help. So I took off Profundity because I need, for Leviathan and Home 1, I need GL fleets for both of those, really. Because they put Mark 6 in here. If they did not put Mark 6 in, where's his defense? He puts Mark 6 in here. Mark 6 basically shuts down the endurance counter. The endurance counter is like a 27% win rate when Mark 6 is in the lineup. So, and I usually lose when Mark 6 comes out, when I try that. So, I'm gonna try, whoops, this is not me still. This is still, that was me. This is him. Mark 6. So, that's the plan. So, I went a little over time. That was a little longer than I anticipated. I'm still working on figuring out how to keep videos short. So, hopefully that gives you some ideas, some inspiration, and feel free to make a comment down below, ask a question, give some feedback. Let me know what you think I should do differently, what defense teams look good, what defense teams maybe you think I should change things up, or maybe what in my plan of attack you think I should change. All right, thanks everyone, and good luck out there in week 2.